I had the most small world feeling today. You know, that small world feeling where you're like, oh, you know Jack? I had breakfast yesterday with Jack. That kind of feeling where it's like two things that shouldn't go together or you wouldn't think they would go together perfectly. I had that happen to me today on a client meeting. I almost cried. Let me explain. So 6 years ago, whenever I was struggling, I was 22 years old. I had just started my marketing company. I really didn't know what I was doing. I just went in blind. I knew what I wanted to do and I just went for it. At the time, I had a friend who I met. His name was Brandon Jessup. And he came into my life and he was a super, super cool dude. He was doing marketing, the same thing that I was doing. The only difference is he had a different skill set. So Brandon was able to sell and I sucked at selling. And so what I did was I did fulfillment. I was a software engineer. I was really good with that stuff and Brandon wasn't. So Brandon could build sites, I could build sites, I could sell, Brandon could sell, you know what I mean? Like he was way better at selling than I was way better at building sites than him. It's a match made in heaven, right? And at the time, I was 22 years old and struggling. I think I was making like $1,500 a month. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was doing. I was panicking. I thought I might go out of business. And then, you know, here comes Brandon. And he says, hey, man, I have a lot of leads in the pipeline. I would love to just funnel you some work. And, you know, it may not be as high paying as you could do by yourself, you know, but I'll take 20% off the top. I'll give you the rest, you know, if you do the work. Yes, let's do it. Let's get it done. You know, I was so excited. I was like, no more ramen, you know, like I can actually like afford stuff. It was awesome. And so one of the first companies that Brandon brought in was for a funnel build. And this company, they were a trucking company. And the trucking company wanted to hire more drivers, right? So they were recruiting drivers. And we built this funnel out for them, this website, the system, the workflow, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? And I probably got paid like $1,000 for it. It was way more than $1,000 worth of work, but you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? So back then, it saved my life. Brandon saved my business. Brandon was the man. You know what I mean? I had so much like just appreciation for the guy. Okay. And a couple of years later, he and I were getting ready to just become a partnership and get into a marketing business ourselves. And we had a third partner too. And then just randomly out of the blue, Brandon was 35 years old and the next day he was gone. I don't to this day, I don't 100% know what happened. He was gone overnight. And it was super sad because the dude was like one of my best friends and we were just very close. We talked to each other. I mean, every single day. We had plans, we had clients together, we had everything together, and he was just gone. And like to this day, you know, it's just like just a stab in the chest to talk about the guy because I just miss him so much. Anyway, we fast forward to today. 6 years later, or however many years after he passed, I think it's been about 5 at this point. I have another meeting down in the same town that Brandon lived in, and it was for a car lot that was opening up. And it turns out that the dad of this car lot, he was paying for it. He was getting it going, but he was getting it going for his sons. And it was kind of like trial by fire. Like they're like, you know, we're trying to just figure everything out, get everything up and running. You know, there were like 4 or something cars on the lot at this moment. Huge dealership, by the way. And they're like, you know, yeah, we need to grow into it and all this stuff. But anyway, getting to know the family because it's a family business and everything. It was really cool. And then the dad's like, hey, if this works out well and you help our car lot, I would love to have you help our trucking company. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. Like, do you know? And I just kind of said, like, do you know Brandon Jessup? And he's like, no, it doesn't ring a bell. And I was like, well, he passed away a number of years ago at this point. And he and I actually did work for a trucking company down here. And I know it's a kind of a shot in the dark, but it was called, and I said the name of the company, and he goes, that was my company. That is my company. I work on that company to this day. I was like, no way. It was just, you know what I mean? Like, it was just such a surreal thing, and it was just honestly so cool. It was just a really cool experience, and I mean, like, I almost I was like, you know, Bobby's on the meeting with me. I was like, Bobby, you need to take over, dude. Like, I'm choking up. But it was just a really cool experience. I mean, it was like things went full circle. The main reason why I'm recording this video is because I still can't believe it happened, and I just need to like explain, like just talk it out. So today has been an absolute wild ride. I mean, the meeting went well, everything went very well, but that story, what happened today was just, I mean, unparalleled. It was unearthly. It was completely just, I can't believe it happened. And here's to a good friend, Brandon Jessup. Till next time, guys.